Go 95.3, I'm Chaz Kangas, and I'm joined now by a very special guest. He is the dawn and the face of F1rst Wrestling, longtime wrestling legend, and one of Minnesota's finest exports. He is bringing wrestling back to the malls this coming Saturday at the Rosedale Shopping Center for F1rst Wrestling, the great Arik Cannon. Arik, how you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me, and I gotta say, that was a hell of an intro.
Hey, I try to at least make a purgatory of an intro, and if I reach hell level, even better. So,
I love it.
So what was the impetus for bringing wrestling back to the malls with it going to Rosedale, which is, we're used to seeing it at First Avenue, at the Uptown VFW. What made now feel like the right time to bring wrestling to the malls?
Well, see, the real thing, the real cog in the wheel, so to speak, about F1rst Wrestling going to Rosedale Center is the team at Rosedale Center has been doing some amazing things in that space. They had an event with Flip Phone. They did the Haunted Basement, and now it's time for wrestling to return to the mall. And strangely enough, we're coming up on the 25-year anniversary of WCW Monday Nitro taking place in the Rotunda at the Mall of America. So there's a little nostalgia, there's a little heartstring tug on us calling this event Saturday Night Nitro.
Nice. Do you have any particular fond memories of the Rosedale Center?
I actually go and I buy all my shoes. No joke. I buy all my shoes at the Van store at the Rosedale Center Mall.
Nice. Oh, always a good connection. Yeah, it's always been my favorite mall for years growing up. Just back in the days when you had the original Suncoast there, the Aladdin's Castle, and over the years, and now like the new aquarium is fantastic. So if you were to bring a capybara into the ring, there's one like right on hand named Skippy who I'm sure is ready to bump. So
absolutely right.
Yeah. It's all definitely there. So, with this being a WrestlePalooza then at the Rosedale Mall, it adds to the greater tapping into that F1rst Wrestling has managed to make into the culture and the counterculture in a lot of ways of the Twin Cities. What do you think it is about Minnesota that's allowed something like F1rst Wrestling to really prosper?
I think that for a real long time, wrestling fans in the Twin Cities area have wanted something different. They have wanted something fresh, something fun, and maybe more importantly, something that is aware of how and what society is looking for regarding how people are being treated. I know F1rst Wrestling is doing what it can to be inclusive and understanding, while also trying to make sure we bring the best possible event on that night for our fans.
Excellent. And so is there any different considerations with bringing wrestling into the mall that you hadn't previously had to with the previous locations?
So it's not necessarily a secret that the 18 plus, 21 plus adult demographic is truly the F1rst Wrestling wheelhouse. However, when we bring F1rst Wrestling to the Rosedale Center on March 7th, that event is going to be a kid-friendly, all ages, family-friendly style event. So that's the only real consideration, so to speak, that we need to make. We need to make sure that the style of entertainment we bring to our audience on that night is palatable and consumable for fans of all ages.
Wonderful. And speaking of the great mass appeal, as well as tying into the Twin Cities, you've had some hip-hop luminaries in the past at previous WrestlePalooza events I want to talk about for a bit. What was it like involving Prof and then having him step into the ring at one point?
So I'm a big fan of Prof and what he does, and even more so his music, but also like the energy and the atmosphere, you can literally feel it and grab it and reach out and touch it at a Prof show. So to be able to have Prof perform at WrestlePalooza at First Avenue was pretty amazing. And like I just said, all of that stuff was there. Prof brings his own energy and his atmosphere to his events, just like F1rst Wrestling does for theirs. So for us to be able to combine that, that was a pretty special night. And the fact that Prof and Wonka were willing to climb into the ring and lay the smackdown on some guys was pretty awesome.
Sweet. And then last year there was the Sean Anonymous performance at WrestlePalooza. How'd that all come together?
So I've been friends with Sean for a few years, and there was a collective of hip hop artists that were there that night. Dimitri Killstorm and I'm going to forget some guys. I know I am.
Minnesota.
There was a handful of awesome guys that were on the card that night.
Nice. Yeah, that was really memorable. That was a really fun one. And then finally, in going with this week with everyone looking back on favorite Doomtree memories because of the new Doomtree single, what was it like having Mike Mitlan as a guest at one of the shows?
So Mike was super cool. That was a really awesome thing for us to do because not only is Mike a great performer, and like you said, everybody's super stoked on the new Doomtree music coming out, Mike's also a wrestling fan. So it was like, I don't want to say a lifelong dream type of thing, but it was definitely something that Mike was very excited to be a part of, and even cooler that he got to help me win my match on that night. So, yeah, no, I'm super stoked for everything that F1rst Wrestling is doing, and I'm also really excited for the new Doomtree music.
Excellent. F1rst Wrestling hits Rosedale this Saturday. If someone has never been to a F1rst Wrestling show before, what would your advice be to them to prepare for Saturday Night Nitro?
I think the most important part about first-time attendees for F1rst Wrestling is to just come and have a good time. All you got to do is leave your crap at the door and know that you're in for 2.5, 3 hours of fun times and entertainment. And that's really what we want to do. We want everyone to have a good time.
Yep. And a good time is always held. Thank you so much, Arik. Everything for F1rst Wrestling can be found at F1rst Wrestling with the number 1 in place of that first I on Twitter, on Instagram, all over socials. The previous F1rst Wrestling events can all be found at smarkmarkvideo.com. Arik, thank you so much, and crack some heads open on Saturday.
Hey, that's what I'm going to try to do. Thank you so much for having me.